Okay, so Supergro. By the way, you can be able to build a president's team business using Supergro alone, because we have so many farmers. Actually, in Kenya, we've not yet exploited the potential behind the Supergro. So first of all, it's important that we deal with natural stuff when we are farming. We may learn about the best practices and ways of eating, but if the food available is farmed, is produced using chemicals, then definitely we'll be in trouble. So what we are talking about here is based in nature and backed by science. For our guests, we have a scientific advisory board that looks into all these products, and Supergro is not any different. So Supergro, we also call it wonder drop because you use too little to achieve too much. And you'll never see Supergro anywhere else other than in our company, Neolife International. So if you see any other imitation out there, please be aware of it and avoid it. Okay. So it helps us to solve many problems and challenges that farmers are experiencing. And today, more than any other time, there are so many challenges, starting with the depleted soils because of the way people have been, soils have been experiencing soil erosion and all that when there is excessive rain. Unfortunately, today there is another exact opposite of that. Instead of having soil erosion because of rains, we are having unpredictable seasons and dry spell. Like we don't have sufficient water. Then expensive agricultural inputs, pests and diseases, excessive use of chemicals, lack of good education to farmers, all these challenges. We are not saying that we are going to solve every single challenge, but at least to a very big extent, we are going to alleviate these challenges. So what is Supergro? Basically, it's just a farm input and a crop booster that can be used together with other farm inputs. And it is proven that it improves soil penetration and availability of water. And I will explain that as we move on, how Supergro helps water to penetrate into the roots. And it also improves pesticide performance, fungicide performance, in other words, performance of other inputs. And believe you me, it improves your crop yield by 167%. That is magical. That's why we are calling it wonder drop, because it produces that kind of wonderful result 3 times. If you are a farmer, say tea leaves, you are doing tea, and you triple your yields, does that not mean you are tripling your income? So how it helps water to penetrate down into the soil is because it makes water wetter. Somebody will ask me, oh, you mean water can be wetter? And it's already wet. Yeah, it becomes easy to penetrate, and the water surface tension is broken so that it's able to penetrate down into the roots. And you can see the diagram here, wetting agents. Down here, you can see we have the normal penetration of water without Supergro, and the blue arrow shows the penetration is much deeper when you are using Supergro with your water. So it optimizes, it increases soil penetration of water. And therefore, it also reduces runoff and evaporation, because the water is going down quite fast. So there is no runoff, and there is not much evaporation during the sunny seasons. Very, very important. It is versatile. This simply means that Supergro can be used with other farm inputs. And like the inputs out there where you are not perhaps expected to mix with others, this is very friendly. You can use it with other fertilizers, pesticides, fungicides, herbicides, and everything. Now, amazingly, if you use Supergro and you've mixed with other inputs like pesticides, for example, and you spray on your crops, then it rains. Imagine that rain will not wash away your pesticides and the Supergro that you have sprayed, because Supergro has that sticking characteristic. So it sticks on the leaves and also helps to spread on the leaves so well, so the coverage is guaranteed, right? And therefore more protection of your crop for longer. And of course, it helps to disperse and dissolve things like oils. So that's very important in enabling water to go down even where we have oils on the surface, among other benefits. So we said it's a sticker, and therefore it helps plants to retain the inputs that you've sprayed on the leaves, right? So basically it means even your fungicides, pesticides, and all that, you'll find it more economical because they will be more effective. And we'll be demonstrating and showing that when you are using Supergro and other farm inputs, the results are better. Like, for example, if you're using pesticides alone versus now someone else who uses with Supergro, the one using with Supergro will get better results for the same pesticides, like the one who is only using pesticides. Okay. So I want to show you some illustrations on that. Let me get to that. Okay, before I show you the demonstration, this is critically important. One thing that farmers are concerned about is the cost of farm inputs. Very, very, very expensive. So now when we talk of Supergro being economical, we are looking at you are using too little with a lot of water. So you don't have to buy a lot of Supergro for your farming. Of course, it depends on whether you're a small scale farmer or a large scale farmer. But you can imagine 1 liter of Supergro, you mix with 1,000 liters of water. In other words, 1 ml of Supergro, you put 1 liter of water. The ratio is 1:1,000. Isn't that amazing? I've seen someone asking whether you mix Supergro with the other inputs like pesticides in the same can. The thing is, you can mix them together, not a problem, so that you take advantage of the sticking element of the Supergro. Yeah, so you can use in the same sprayer. All right, so and I know we have experts in the call who have been using Supergro practically, so you can always be engaging on the charts so that our guests can benefit maximally. So it's multi-purpose. We've looked at that. That is what the word versatility means, that you can use in many other crops. It's not for only one type of crop or a few. You can use it in any. Remember, it's so organic that you can spray now and in 4 hours you eat because it's organic. And University of Nairobi has done independent studies, research to support what Neolife'S Scientific Advisory Board has done. I remember when it came to Kenya, the results were so amazing that the government had to first stop it to do research and see how is it able to perform way beyond the normal fertilizers. And to the support of the company's research, University of Nairobi came up with very good findings that yes, the product is able to improve performance in terms of reducing diseases in crops and pests. So these are just some demonstrations that where you use Supergro and fungicides, for example, the performance is much better than when you are using maybe fungicide and some other competitors, foliar. We don't like disclosing and mentioning companies for integrity's sake. And if it's only fungicide and water, you can see it's quite low. So the control of diseases like angular leaf spot and pests, aphids, and white flies is much better when you're using Supergro. Right. Very, very interesting. The same with tomatoes, whichever the crops that you are using. But the idea is to maximize on your crop yields and therefore increase on your profits. I have seen farmers, and I'll show you in the slides towards the end, farmers using Supergro, and they literally build huge wealth out of it. So we need to take the advantage of this. So in a summary form there, we've said that the Supergro is versatile. We've said that it's very, very economical. Okay, it comes in 2 packages in Kenya, 5 liters and 1 liter. Now, those who have done economics, mostly when you're buying something in a larger quantity, it becomes cheaper. So when you're buying 5 liters jerry can, you save much money than the one who is buying 1 liter, 5 of them. Actually, the margin is very, very significant. But basically, in general, that ratio of 1:1,000 makes Supergro extremely economical compared with other farm inputs out there. Then it's safe because it's organic, easy to use and handle. You don't have to put on gloves because it's non-toxic. It's not flammable, So it's really very friendly. It's multi-purpose. You can use it indoor, outdoor, in all crops, flowers, horticulture, maize, everything, and proven performance. I tell people, in as much as we have supplements that we use as human beings, there are some people who are like, I don't want to take anything. But when it comes to crops, you don't need to be convinced that it works. You only need to look at the farmers who are using it, and you can never hesitate to use. Okay. So we've gone through some of the properties of Supergro. I don't want to repeat that. But now when you are applying, we usually give you a calibrated measuring cup so that you are just putting a liter of it, especially if you are not mixing too much of it. It's calibrated in milliliters, and then now you can add the equivalent amount of water in liters. Okay. So looking at some of the testimonies, and these are real life testimonies. We are excited to gather them from our clients on the ground. Look at some of these, like the bananas here. I know Faith Gaira is in this call. She's always showing us her bananas and tea leaves. Unbelievable results there, right? Look at these guavas, very nice. And even the maturity, you realize that they mature much faster than if you never used Supergro. So what we advise farmers to do so that they are practical on this, just avoid using Supergro in a few, crops, few stems, but treat them in the same way in other inputs, whatever else you are doing, if it's water and all that. That's what we call in science, controlled experiment. And it will surprise you where Supergro is used. The crops mature much faster. they are sweeter, you know, very high quality. And of course, you know, you are eating something that is natural, organic. Now we talk of coffee. Again, the harvest is amazing. The other important thing to note that I might not have mentioned, but this reminds me of it, is that your crops will be able to retain water for a very long time. So if the rains are not adequate, sufficient, when your neighbor's crops are drying up, yours are likely to remain green because your crops are still retaining water. And again, there is not much evaporation, as we said. So you are likely to harvest where your neighbors are not harvesting. Look at the maize. In Kitale, they are doing a lot of maize using Supergro, just to mention one region. Otherwise, it's everywhere else. You know, beans and all the other crops. Look at those cassavas, amazing. Where you are harvesting cassava this size, now you harvest 3 times of that or more. Tomatoes, very, very exciting results there. This is my friend in Uganda, Kanakulia, and you can see the kind of pumpkins that he's able to produce. So basically that is Supergro for you. And we want to request all of us to be the ambassadors in Kenya, to make agriculture, you know, be extremely productive. You don't have to be big in the government for you to contribute so significantly in the economy of this country. By using Supergro, you are able to contribute significantly, and I am sure we are all willing to do that. Those who are members and we are building business, you won't believe, if you are strategic, if you are deliberate in moving the Supergro, you will be doing 4,000 personal points very, very easily by just moving Supergro. So let's go for it. And at this point, I want to stop at that point first. We'll be engaging more in terms of Supergro, and the person who invited you, of course, will share more, even recordings from our past trainings, so that you can understand more and more and more. So that marks the end of the Supergro session, and takes us to the second session that I want to do with us, and that is recognition.